Come on in, you guys. We're about ready to start a brand new episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is a website. As always, you can engage live in the content. You gotta go follow me. I'm over on Instagram Live at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you are there, you can engage live, just like Ingrid and Lauren and so many people coming in right now. Thank you guys for being here today on Jimmy Rants. You can also go to JimmyRants.com. You'll see all the past episodes that we've done of this here show, and we do throw them all up on YouTube as well. Hello to all my YouTubers who are watching this on the replay. I really appreciate all the engagement I get from you guys over on YouTube, so just type in a keyword Jimmy Rants. You can find the show, and then once you find it, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you'll never miss a single episode of Jimmy Rants. So a lot of people like watching this on YouTube. Go watch it there. But JimmyRants.com is the website. All right, you guys. So we are in the midst of still being socially isolated. We are in the midst of having the fears that are out there about this COVID-19 coronavirus. And quite frankly, a lot of people are struggling. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. We're not okay right now. I think a lot of people are trying to put on a happy face and act like everything's normal. No. It is not normal. It is not normal. We are snafu is what we are, if you know what the acronym for snafu is. We're trying to act like it's normal, but it's not normal. It's all you know what up. And I think if we acknowledge that fact that things aren't normal right now and that things are kind of swirling in our head right now that we're having trouble wrapping our minds around, then I think we can do something about those feelings. But let's not pretend like this isn't hard. And I'll tell you personally, for me, this has been really, really hard on me because I'm a very social person. And I didn't realize before this all happened where we had to pretty much stay quarantined in our houses, I didn't realize how much I depended on that day-to-day interaction with people, even like complete strangers. Like, think about it. You go to Starbucks and you order from the barista. That's a person. There's people waiting in line with you. Those are people. There's the person handing you your coffee cup. That's people. When you're leaving the door, you hold the door open for the person coming in. That's people. You forget all that interpersonal, responses to other people. You kind of need that. Like, are you noticing that there's just this void that's happening? And for me personally, because I am so social and I am such an extrovert and do like people and the smile of a stranger and looking someone in the eyes and physical touch and all the things, I've been really lonely. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. This is really mentally worked on me harder than probably anything in my life. And this is far worse than the sabbatical. Like, when I was on sabbatical for 6 months from September through the end of February, that was my choice to be away. But I could choose to allow people to come into my life and go see people and da-da-da. This is far worse because not only am I being forced to be on a sabbatical, I'm being forced not to see people. Other than a cursory person here and there when I go get groceries and come back home, it's very minimal. And I know I'm not alone that's feeling these feelings of loneliness and isolation and, oh my gosh, all this negative stuff happening in our heads. So I've been looking online for various articles, and I've got 3 of them here today that give you some tips and some survival aspects of how you circumnavigate all those feelings you might be having right now. And even if you have family members at home, kids, wife, husband, whoever, even if you have those people, you still might be feeling these feelings of loneliness, these feelings of isolation, because you miss your friends, you miss the regular activities. This is the week of Easter is coming up, and people are used to going to church on Sunday, and it's a big deal on Easter. So there's a lot of kind of like angst in people's minds, and I think we need to acknowledge that. Let's don't neglect the elephant in the room here, that people are struggling with this. So what I want to do in today's Jimmy Rants is help to acquiesce some of those issues you're having, because these 3 articles I found had some really good advice. There may be some overlap, so forgive me if we repeat it a little bit, but I think this will be helpful to those of you struggling mentally with this COVID-19 isolation. All right, the first one is from a website, alifeofproductivity.com. And the headline, 10 Ways to Invest in Your Mental Health When You're Having to Be Self-Isolated. These days it can feel tough to strike a balance between staying informed and level-headed. Here's something I haven't written about yet. A little over a year ago, overwhelmed by work, I went through periods of intense anxiety, the author writes. I'll be writing more about this down the line, but I stumbled upon a few helpful strategies to help keep me calm. So, if you're feeling a bit anxious right now, is that any of you? Are you anxious right now? I don't blame you. You're certainly not alone. Here are some strategies that have worked well for me to invest in my mental health and to provide me a sense of calm. Check these out, you guys. Now, you don't have to do all of these. These are just suggestions about how you can deal. So the first thing is exercise every single day. And I know there's this kind of movement, especially here on Instagram. I see a lot of people having exercise challenges. Here, do this 20 push-up challenge. The latest one, I talked about this on Jimmy Ranch yesterday. People like leaning up against the wall upside down with their feet, and they've got their shirt on the ground, and they have to somehow get their shirt on while they've got their feet against the wall upside down. And Jimmy Moore is not participating in any of that kind of thing, so don't tag me in those kind of things. But there's just this notion that you need to be using this time to exercise, and take it or leave it. I mean, if you want to exercise, fine, but don't think you have to. But the reason exercise is good is it's probably the best stress reliever available, according to this article. It balances brain chemicals. It's an outlet for stress, usually leaves you less anxious than before. And for this reason, during self-isolation, when you're working out of the home or outside, try to get some exercise. I'll tell you what has been helpful to me is just kind of going around the neighborhood walking. I'm noticing a lot of people doing that. And walking's not a vigorous exercise, but it gets your heart rate up enough, and you're also getting fresh air, you're also getting the sunshine, you're getting a lot of things, and you occasionally will see a neighbor walking as well, and appropriately distanced from one another, you can say hello, you're getting some of that human interaction. All those things can make you less and less anxious. Number 2, meditate. Have you ever meditated before? Like, is this on your list of things that you do in your healthy lifestyle? Because if it's not, add it. Meditation is just so critical. It doesn't change what you're experiencing, according to this article, but it completely changes how you relate to what you're experiencing. Like, think about it. When you focus in to self during meditation and you allow your mind to calm, and trust me, your mind's going to race when you first start meditating, but once you learn this fine art, and there's a lot of apps out there that help you meditate. Muse is a really good one, M-U-S-E, and it has this little device you could stick on your head, and when your mind starts racing, the app goes crazy and it tries to get you to calm, and then you calm down. So you learn to do that in the midst of craziness, so that when you're not wearing the Muse, you learn how to calm yourself. And all it does is changes how you relate to what you experience. It's a practice that allows you to see the events around you with an equilibrium. Like, there's no highs, there's no lows, it's just always here. Now, I realize, guys, I'm one of those people that tends to be equilibrium most of the time. I'm not one that gets really high or really low. Even I have dipped down in the low part lately, and I work hard to come back up into that equilibrium, because that's where you stay stable mentally right now. You're less fazed by periods of chaos and uncertainty when you stay even-keeled. There's never been a better time to learn to meditate than now. So if you don't already meditate, get you some, like if you've got Apple Music on your phone or Amazon Music, listen to some meditation music. Just type in meditation and you'll find music, even on YouTube. Just type in meditation and you'll find all kind of music that will be very solemn, and play it. And just, if nothing else, just close your eyes and just start deep breathing. You'll be surprised how much your body will just relax just from hearing ethereal sounds. Think of like a masseuse. when you go to get a massage, that kind of music playing overhead. Why do they do that? Because it relaxes you and it puts you in that meditative state. So doing that can help you in this time. If you're just joining us, we're trying to provide you some survival tips about how to deal with maybe some of the negative mental health effects that you're having from being socially distanced during COVID-19. So you are not alone. Just know that we're all going through that, and we're all trying to do the best that we can to not let this get us down. All right, next one. Get lost in a book. Have you been reading any books lately? Like, if you have extra time, you're like, what do I do with that time? Like, there are all kinds of TV shows you can watch and movies you can watch. I've seen lots of people talking about that. I haven't seen a whole lot of people talking about like, oh, wow, I just read X book and wow, I had no idea it was going to change my life. It's easy to go on Amazon and spend $10 on an ebook and get the Kindle version and read it right on your device. Do that. Avail yourself of that. I think you'll be surprised how much it could calm you. When we go through stressful periods, we have the tendency to turn to escape hatches to avoid confronting what we're feeling. Most of these unhealthy escapes can be fun in small doses. Things like a little bit of alcohol. I'm not condoning that, but I know people are partaking in it. I haven't had one drop of alcohol this entire time of social distancing. I've got some on hand, and I was tempted a couple times to have some, but I've resisted. It's like, I don't really need that. I'm just wanting that. Binge watching TV shows, again, if it's something you wanted to watch. I know everybody's into the Joe Exotica, and was it Tiger something? Anyway, I'm not into it, but there's a lot of people that are. Distracting yourselves with overeating, which we talked about on Jimmy Rants yesterday, or being on social media, which every single one of you watching this right now, you're on social media, so you're looking for an escape. But of all the escape hatches we can deploy, diving into a book is probably the most healthy for you. It allows your mind to slow down a bit so you can process what you're going through while you lose yourself in a story. Now, I was an English major in college. Maybe now's the time to kind of go back and reread some classics. Have you looked at Shakespeare since high school? Most people haven't. You know, I was thinking about Macbeth yesterday and how it starts with the three witches around the cauldron. Double, double, toil and trouble, fire burn in cauldron bubble. Yes, I was an English major, so I remember. And I always like to dramatize, so. Pull out some Shakespeare, pull out classics, Robinson Crusoe, A Tale of Two Cities. Even Mark Twain stuff, the Huckleberry Finn, Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. Reread those things. Culturize yourself, and you'll find yourself wrapped up in the story. Or if you want some romance novel and you get all gaga goo goo about that, read that. But something to read. Next tip, reduce the amount of caffeine you're consuming. I know there's people drinking coffee like there's no tomorrow. Because when people drink coffee, it tends to calm them down, and it's the caffeine effect. It's other effects in the coffee as well. But caffeine. But here's what happens when you consume too much caffeine. Your body will release this thing called norepinephrine, which is adrenaline, and cortisol, which is the stress hormone. The problem is a lot of us already have high cortisol levels because of the stress of the situation we're in. And then you start drinking coffee and you add more cortisol on top of that, and you're just on edge all the time. This can be good when you need to focus and get work done, but during stressful times, like right now, this will make you feel totally overwhelmed. So maybe right now, you are one of those people who is so overwhelmed by everything that's going on. You're thinking about the future, the financial fallout from all this, when we're going to come back, but we don't know when we're going to be able to come back to normal, blah, blah, blah. You're just overwhelmed by this. Are you drinking coffee? Maybe you back off on the coffee. I'm not saying this is the cure for that, but maybe you back off on drinking coffee or other caffeinated beverages just for now, just to see if it makes you a little less anxious. It's helpful to view caffeine as a sort of liquid stress. It's great when you need to be jolted. So if you're working from home right now, you want that jolt so you can get the job done. Okay, great. But don't keep drinking it. because you will have the crash later. It's less helpful when you're already feeling anxious. If you're already on edge, consider cutting back on your caffeine consumption. I would be interested to know, like, how many people who are feeling the most anxious, the most overwhelmed, the most stressed right now, how many of you guys that are doing that are having caffeine? Now, I get it. You get off of caffeine, you get the headaches. You're thinking, oh, I'd rather have the caffeine and the anxiousness than the headaches. Okay, fine. Maybe dose it, like lower the dose and see how you do. There's probably a happy balance there. Next up, have hours in which you disconnect. I can tell you, even before COVID-19 quarantines, social isolation, social distancing happened, I was already doing this in mind because of my life, because of the sabbatical I was on. So what I call it is a little daily mini sabbatical where I spend 1 to 2 hours where I'm just not doing anything. No social media. I'm not doing any podcasting. I'm pretty much chilling out in my massage chair. I'm in my infrared sauna. I'm in my hot tub, just chilling out, maybe playing a little words with friends, but just relaxing and doing what I want to do for those 1 to 2 hours a day. And you don't think about how important that is, especially when we're under such stress right now. Those things are proactively helping you de-stress. So on most days, the news allows you to catch up on events going on around the world, both positive and negative. But right now, there's so much negativity in the news, it's worth having hours where you just totally disconnect from the news. I can tell you one of the best things that's helped me through this period of time is I don't engage in the news media, not on a constant basis. Obviously, it's almost impossible if you have a smartphone in your hand and you get push notifications of things that happen, which I do, because I want to stay informed if something big happens. But I don't sit there and like dwell on it. If I see like, 675 people died in New York City today alone, biggest one day, I'm not going to get caught up in the emotion of that. Because once you read that story, then it pulls you into another story and another story and another story. And 3 hours later, you're so super depressed, you don't know what you're going to do. So taking it in spurts, allowing yourself to get completely away from it all. And I'm not saying just away from the news. I mean away from everything. Tell your spouse, I just got to get away from the kids for just a few minutes. Let me breathe. Let me go over here and be by myself. Let me go out and take a walk. Get in some sunshine. All the things. Now is the time to take care of you like that. Stick to doing this for the sake of your mental health. I personally just give myself a few hours a day to catch up on what's happening. This way I stay informed without burying my head in the sand, but also disconnecting from it all. So there is extremes. Watching it obsessively, not watching it at all. I think finding it in spurts. And hopefully some of the information I'm providing here on Jimmy Rants, you're finding, okay, yes, it might be some hard news to hear, but it's things I want to know about, which is what keeps you coming back here to this show, which, by the way, thank you for everybody that does watch this show regularly. I have tried to be an encouraging, positive, uplifting kind of voice for you guys, not a gloom and doom, oh my God, the world's coming to an end kind of voice, because we get enough of those. You need someone who understands what you're going through. And I'm going through it with you, so I certainly understand. Next one, connect with other people as much as you possibly can. This past weekend, I had some drinks over video chat with a friend I had not spoken to in quite some time. It felt incredible. We're planning another call next weekend. Most of us are all in the same boat. Reach out to a few friends that you miss or you haven't seen in a while and have a drink or a cup of tea with them over video. Better yet, have dinner with someone or another couple over video as well. So I can tell you, I have reconnected lately with about 10 to 15 people I have not talked to in well over 5 years. A lot of them are my friends from the paleo community that when keto took off and I started engaging more in the keto space, I withdrew away from a lot of the paleo conferences and not attending those. And a lot of those people that were friends of mine in that arena, they're still out there doing their thing, but we haven't stayed in contact. Well, I've reconnected with quite a few of those people lately, and it's been wonderful. And I've got several phone calls lined up to talk to them. So who are those people in your life? Who are the people? And let me back up one more thing. You know who matters in your life at times like this. I can tell you, and you know who you are. I have been contacted by people on a regular basis checking in on me because they know I'm here all alone. And a lot of them know some circumstances I've been dealing with in my life. And they've checked up on me. And you also know who you thought were your friends. Not so much. Like, you don't want a crisis situation to point these things out, but I'm sure you're seeing the chips falling where they may, and you're seeing who is real and who is not real right now. And quite frankly, I'm extremely surprised by some people I have not heard from. Really, really, really surprised. But pleasantly surprised by some that I do regularly hear from. And I think that's the thing we need to remind ourselves is use this as the opportunity to weed out who are your real friends at this time. Who is that person that you could text them right now and say, hey, I need to chat. Will you talk to me? And if they're available, they'll call you. Thankfully, I've got a handful, like a really good, like 4 or 5 people right now. If I could just, needed them and wanted to talk to them, I could contact them and they would drop everything and talk to me. And then probably another few dozen after that in the right circumstance, they would do the same thing. Do you have those people in your life? Or have you decided to reach out to people and be that person for someone else? If not, let this be your wake-up call. People need you right now. We need that connection as much as possible. And when in the absence of having physical contact and touch and hugs and all the things that you get from those kind of friendship relationships and even love relationships, and maybe you're socially distanced from them right now, in the absence of that, do what you can to connect. Next one, find one thing to savor every single day. I know it's so hard to find gratitude in the midst of life when it sucks. But are you finding gratefulness? Like, even in the midst of like the horribleness that is what we're going through right now, surely there's something good happening. Surely there are things in your life that you can say, you know what, I'm so thankful for X, and you fill in the blank. Okay? And you don't realize gratitude is for no other purpose than to tell your brain, yes, things are haywire, but here's what's good right now. And if we neglect what good things are happening, then that gets you down a deep, dark pit in your mind that makes you in a very bad place. The people that deal with depression and anxiety and some of these mental health issues the most are the ones that fail to show gratitude and savoring the things in their life. So, taking time to savor something you enjoy is a surefire way of experiencing calm. Each day, find that one thing in your life to slowly enjoy. So, do you like herbal tea in the evening? Savor it. Maybe you've never done that before. I'll tell you, I did this the other day with some ribeye steaks. I slowed down and I just put it in my mouth and closed my eyes and let all that juicy fat just melt in my mouth. And I was just like, dang, this is good. Savor it. Use this opportunity. Read a good book in the morning. Really slowly read it and absorb it. Cooking dinner with your family. I know a lot of people are cooking right now and baking especially, and they're using it as a relaxation thing. Go for it. I saw my friend Ryan Lowry here on Instagram on his stories last night. He posted some keto cinnamon rolls that he made. And he did this little boomerang thing, or you could see the ooey gooiness, and it was relaxing for him. Do those things to savor every single day. Next up, treat yourself in healthy ways. Find a nice way to treat yourself. Ask yourself this question: what's one thing you enjoy doing that brings you enjoyment and contentment? When we reward ourselves, we sometimes indulge in experiences that are instantly gratifying that aren't as enjoyable in the long run. Think about shopping, drinking, or smoking. turn instead to those things that bring you genuine enjoyment, like yoga, namaste in bed, a good book, exercise, or socializing with those people you love the most. So all these things we've been talking about. The next one, we hit on it a while ago with the savoring. Express your gratitude. It's a shortcut to feeling so much abundance. Think about it. When your head is in a bad place, the last thing you want to do is say what you're grateful for, because your head is in a bad place. And I've got friends in my life that they let their head get in a bad place, and you sit there and try to remind them what good's happening in your life. Well, nothing. No. What good is happening in your life? What are you grateful for? And when you finally pull that out of them, you see an instant change in their attitude. And it works. Gratitude is your attitude. And if it's not, then don't be surprised when you have a bad attitude. And when you feel down. And when you go down to that deep, dark pit that you can't get out of. Tonight, if you're with a partner at home, recall 3 things you're both most grateful for. Continue with this ritual every night afterward. Can you imagine if you are with your family, and especially those of you that have kids, and you can teach the kids, all right, guys, it's 6 o'clock. It's time for us to share 3 things we're most grateful for. And if we're holed up in our houses for the next month, 2 months, 3 months, can you imagine every single night, and write them down? Can you imagine how much gratitude will be on paper that you can go back and reflect on and say, during one of the worst experiences in our lives, we showed gratitude. It's powerful, you guys. Journal about 10 things you're grateful for. Consider why each of those things on your list is important. Gratitude redirects your attention away from the threats and the chaos and more towards what we're lucky to have and experience. That's good. If you're not trying to find gratitude in the midst of this right now, you're missing out on your own blessings. So try to do that for yourself. Then finally, in this article, spring clean your habits. Not your house. There's people doing spring cleaning in their house, and that's fine. Spring clean your habits. It's often during times of great change that it's so easy for us to change our existing habits and adopt new and better ones. Having to live in self-isolation sucks. There's no question about it, but it's an opportunity to look at all of your habits, determine which ones are worth letting go of, and which ones are worth adopting. So make a list right now of all your bad habits. You know what they are. Just be honest with yourself. Write them down. And when you write them down, you look at them and reevaluate, okay, why do I do that bad habit? Okay, I can change that. Done. And you start implementing in your head, okay, I'm going to actively not let that bad habit happen again. Can you imagine how many of those things you could correct? And right now, I'm working on parts of myself, so I'm a better friend, and I'm a better person personally. Very specific things I'm working on because I got nothing better to do, and I know I have my flaws. We all do. And we acknowledge what those flaws are, then we're able to overcome them. Identify which ones are serving you well and which ones are not. Now is the time to deeply consider which habits you want to change or adopt in order to live a better life. So special thanks to Chris Bailey from alifeofproductivity.com. Really fantastic article all about dealing with ways to invest in your mental health when you're socially isolating. Now, I've got a couple more here, and I'm about halfway through the show. I don't want to take up a whole lot of time because I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say. But another website, kevinmd.com. So it's this medical doctor I follow on Twitter, and he is a psychiatrist. So he wants to, he's not a psychiatrist. He has a psychiatrist friend who guest posted for him. Arya Goldberg. Dr. Arya Goldberg is the psychiatrist. So I'm going to skip through all the opening stuff and go right to what she said as far as how we can help our mental health in the midst of all this. So, you should make a concerted effort to expand rather than contract your social circles of support. Have you felt all alone in the midst of this? Have you felt like you're more distanced than ever before, Dr. Goldberg is saying you got to do something about that. Make a list of those people to call who aren't otherwise in your inner circle. Like I told you a while ago, I've got 4 to 5 people that right now, if I texted them, they would drop everything they're doing and they would probably call me right away if I said, I need you. But then I've got several dozen more people that I have reached out to, and that if I haven't called you already and I've reached out to you, I will be calling you soon, that would do the same. And you need to expand that social circle you have. Now, I'm lucky because of what I do for a living. I have lots of people that love me around the world, and I've heard from a lot of you guys. So thank you for that. A lot of you guys, how are you doing during this time? I love Jimmy Rants, but I feel like you probably need somebody to talk to. Yeah, I do. So thank you. If that's you, if you've been doing that, thank you for that. It has very much helped me in the midst of this. Now is the perfect time to reach out to a friend you haven't seen in over a year, or an uncle you've always wished you'd gotten to know a little better. I tell all my patients to schedule at least 2 virtual meetings a day. Are you seeing somebody on video or on phone every single day? 2 of them? I would dare say most people are not seeing 2 people on video chat or on the phone a week. And if that's you, I'm not trying to shame you, but I am telling you, if you're feeling the anxiety and the overwhelmingness of all of this, that's the point of contact you need to figure out. Find those people. Find people to connect with. Who knows? You might find a new friend through all this. You might find and discover you have an ally in your corner that you didn't even know about. It's pretty powerful. Most importantly, think of at least one person who you can be kind to today. Oh my gosh. Even if we didn't have COVID-19, I would hope that you find at least one person you can show some kindness to. I got to tell you, I have gotten things in the mail from people lately. They'll write me on Instagram or whatever and say, hey, can I have your address? I want to send you something. And so, or my email address. I know Lone Star Keto Girl, she made me a Jimmy Rants GIF, animated GIF. And it was wonderful, and she did a really good job with it, and I used it and I put it out here on social media. I had another friend of mine who saw me talking about beauty care products that I put on like a mask, so she sent me some of the beauty counter little mask stuff and shared like how much she appreciated the work I did. Carol St. Laurent, thank you for that, by the way. That just came in the mail. So do like some acts of kindness. There are people in your life and neighborhood who need you right now. Yes, you need them too, but the best way to make yourself feel better when you're feeling down and depressed and anxious is to do for other people. You'll be surprised how good you feel knowing you impacted one person's life today with your act of kindness. And we all feel a lot more purposeful when we give ourselves. So that's good, huh? All right, so the psychiatrist also talks about watching the news, limiting it. So I agree with that. How should you worry? From a psychiatrist now, she's telling you how you should worry. Worrying is not only natural, it is important to worry. Our very first instinct to worry is what keeps us following the guidelines and working hard to maintain safety in the first place. So if you didn't worry, you wouldn't be washing your hands. You wouldn't be socially distancing. You wouldn't be staying home. You wouldn't be wearing a mask right now. So worry is serving a good purpose in keeping that at top of mind and not dismissing this COVID-19 thing as nothing. But there's a way to worry constructively versus a way to self-destruct. Constructive worrying is a 3-step process. Check this out, guys. You set aside 15 to 30 minutes a day, same time every day, and don't do it too close to bedtime. During this time, you take out a sheet of paper and you put down 2 columns. Write down all the things you're worrying about in column 1. Column 2, write down what you plan to do about them. What's interesting is a lot of things you worry about, you have no control over. And again, I have friends in my life who are worry. And I say, what are the things? Da. Do you have any control over any of those? Well, no. Oh, okay. Why are you worried about things you can't control? If you don't have a solution for them, write down what your next steps will be towards finding a solution. Now, what if it seems there's nothing that you can do? That sounds like a worry that you can't do much about. Let it go. Let it go. Or as I like to go, let it go, let it go. And I just lost half of you singing the Frozen song. Or come back to it in the future when it's constructive to do so. Anxious worries have a way of creeping up again during all the worst of times. When they do, just tap that sheet of paper folded in your pocket out to remind yourself that you've already worried about this and that you will worry about it again constructively at a later time. So there is a Bible verse, take no thoughts for the things of the morrow, for the morrow will take thought of the things of itself. Sufficient to the day is the evil thereof. All that is to say, don't worry about tomorrow. You already got enough stuff today that is on your plate. Don't worry about things in your life. Let them go. There is no need to let it distract you from having a romantic dinner with your girl or anybody else, right? Next up from this psychiatrist, how to keep the proper perspective. There is a lot of good happening. Noting it daily can help you keep perspective. So again, this is gratitude and looking for the good things happening in your life. Before bedtime, list one thing about your life that is better than it was before all this happened. Something about your life right now is far better than it was before the COVID-19 social distancing all started. Think a little bit. Think that through. Maybe you're like, oh my God, what are you talking about? When you dwell on this a little more, you're going to find something that, oh my gosh, I had no idea that, and then it's going to be revelatory. And it's going to open your eyes. List two other things that you're grateful for right now. Don't repeat the same things every night. If you're running low on material, reread the section on how to socially distance. You're probably not doing it right. And then finally, how and when to find the help you need. Stress is normal, but if you notice they're chiseling away at you and your well-being, please reach out for help. If they're keeping you awake at night, you can't sleep well, they're getting in the way of relationships, maybe you're butting heads with a spouse or your kids a little more than you typically do. Do you find yourself withdrawing away from people, staying in bed longer in the morning, avoiding all the self-care things? Or if you're having thoughts of wanting to harm yourself, just as an effort to cope. If any of these are happening, find a mental health professional. I've told you about several in my space. Rachel Freeman is my life coach. She's here on Instagram, Rachel Freeman, and she's wonderful. She's got a partner in crime, Christy Malone, who's also a trauma specialist and mental health specialist. Dr. Jay Wiles is another friend of mine here who specializes in helping patients as well. Dr. Chris Palmer, he's a medical doctor out of Harvard. You could reach out to him. Again, all of these people are on Instagram. Reach out to him, and if he can't help you, he knows a whole slew of people that can help with this. Just, if you need help, don't be the hero. Go get help. Okay? Let's not let this be the time where you wither in your mental health so that when all this is over, you don't know why you can't get your life back on track again. Okay? Let's do that. All right, I'm going to save this last one for a whole nother Jimmy Rants because I've gone really long with these two, but I think you get the point here. We got to survive right now with the negative mental health thoughts we're having. It's having a major effect on so many people. Social distancing is probably one of the worst things to do for your mental health. Now, we're doing it for the sake of a physical health and protecting people from getting the COVID-19. I get it. It's all for a good purpose from a medical health perspective. But the mental health, you guys, this is going to be, the ramifications of the mental health effects of COVID-19 are going to be far, far more impactful than the physical effects from COVID-19 actually ravaging people. I really believe that. And it's been on my heart since all this started. It's been a huge concern of mine. In fact, not this week on Real Talk, my podcast on Thursday, but next week, we're going to have a special guest, Carolina Leaf, on the show. Dr. Will Cole and I will have her on talking about some of the mental health effects, what the ramifications will be, how we stem the tide of mental illness that will come out of this. and you know who you are. If you're susceptible to this or you see it in other people, please, please, please help those people get connected and at least stay steady. Nobody's going to be over this COVID-19 in the midst of it, but we can all try to stabilize each other and make sure we're all in a good headspace right now, because if we don't, people will go down to a deep, dark pit in their minds. Some of them will commit suicide. I just shudder to think the mental health effects of this, and if we don't get this under control sooner than later, it's going to have long-lasting implications for many years to come. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. Going to go to Instagram here first. Thank you guys for being here. I'll come over to Facebook Live if we still have time, and thank you, Live in La Vida Low Carb Facebook page, for being here. Welcome in, welcome in. JimmyRants.com is a website if you want to engage in the content. Keto Purple Owl, happy Monday from Toronto. Thank you for being here. Not Your Average Keto Podcast. I'm more okay than what I was. It has been almost a grieving period because the world we knew a few weeks ago has changed, and it's not going to be the same as it was when we get through this. I agree. I think the world has irreparably changed forever. Changed in a lot of bad ways, obviously, but changed, I hope, in some good ways as well. So that's the eternal optimist in Jimmy Moore right now, and I'm just going to hang on to that, Jennifer, to get me through. Debbie says, I'm upset because this is Easter week, no big family gatherings. I'm thankful my family is healthy, but it's a hard time. Yeah, Easter Sunday is going to be very hard because that traditionally is where we have all kinds of family activities. Kids do Easter egg hunts. Churches have big services, and it's a huge time of the year. It's a huge holiday. Like St. Patty's Day was a couple weeks ago. Nobody really blinked an eye missing St. Patrick's Day. But we sure are going to have a hard time when Easter comes and goes, and it's no big deal because it's special for a lot of people. Karen says, I'm an introvert having more interaction than ever before. Seems everyone I know is calling to make sure I'm okay. Yeah, we worry about people like you, Karen, because you're the quiet type, and we're like, okay, when they're quiet, their mind is racing, and so good. And maybe that's why some people don't reach out to you if you're an extrovert, is they know, okay, well, you're the life of the party. What they don't know about extroverts is, yeah, we're the life of the party, but we like hearing from you too. So that's why you should reach out to whoever regardless. Cariana, they've shut down the forest where I hike. The forest. If ever there was a place for being conducive to being socially distanced. Well, I think they think if people all go in the forest that maybe you would get too close to it. I don't know. But I agree with you. If they shut down parks and forests and not let people get out in nature, it's not helping our mental health, is it? Bullock in 2018 says, take care, everybody in the Jimmy Moore fan base. Thank you for that. ZCHF says, back off on coffee, ? Exclamation. He says, coffee is quarantine fuel. Well, I've never been a coffee fan, so I don't get the craziness of drinking coffee, but I know a lot of people rely on it. Trav Statham said, how was the sabbatical? I did a whole Jimmy Rants on the very first episode back from sabbatical on March the 1st. Go to JimmyRants.com and look for that one. I told you all about the sabbatical, so I'm not going to repeat it here, but thank you for the question. Bonnie says, yes, went through a crisis years ago, was shocked at who I thought my friends were. They were not real. Sometimes a crisis is a good thing for awareness. Yeah. Like I said, weed out the people who aren't really your friends. You hate to say it that way, but you kind of do. Like in a time of crisis, you know who your friends are and you know who your friends are not. And like I said, I've got 4 to 5 people, and I see a couple of them on here right now that if I needed them, all I'd have to do is text them and say, hey, can I talk? They would drop everything if they could and call me right away. So we need people like that. Tanya says, in times of doubt or uncertainty, it's important to remember all the good things in your life. List what you're thankful for. Yeah, that's what one of those, I think that's what the psychiatrist said to do. Kim says, this has pushed me out of my comfort zone. doing Facebook Live on Sundays for church. The amazing things is we're reaching more people than we would on a normal Sunday. It's a blessing in disguise. That's wonderful, Kim. And I know a lot of churches, the pastor's going there and it's just the pastor and the cameraman, and they're doing their sermons and people watching online, people watching virtually. I think that's wonderful. And it is. It's a great way to shift with the challenges we have. And I mean, think about all of the technology we have that keeps us connected when we can't physically be in person. Thank God this happened in 2020 and not 1920. Like, think about the Spanish influenza outbreak. Those people had nothing, but they were also not told to socially isolate. And then 50 million people died in that. And so we're socially isolating and we're staying away from each other. But yet we have these communication tools that we can stay in contact. I mean, Instagram Live, Facebook Live, this is a blessing that you get to see a face and a voice, hear a voice that you're familiar with, and you connect with me. I'm a real human being. I know you're a real human being. Even though I can't see you, I know the people typing all these messages here, you're real. And we connect that way. Ingrid said, I just got diagnosed with leukemia. No one will talk to me. Well, Ingrid, that's horrible. Do you not have any friends or family or anybody that wants to talk to you? I'd be surprised if you reached out. In fact, Yellow-Eyed One said, so sorry, Ingrid, hang in there. God bless you. Maybe you guys can connect. Maybe you guys can talk to each other, because I know there's people that would be delighted to talk to you. All right, let's go over to Facebook Live. See what you guys have to share about this topic here today. Hello, guys. Thank you for being here today on Jimmy Rants. Dan said, isolating in my RV, though I had to travel recently, hunkered down for now, but need to venture out to resolve an issue. My home is my RV. Such an interesting time. Yeah, at least in an RV, they say stay home. Well, home is your RV, so they didn't say don't move when you're staying home. So if your home is on wheels, move all you want. Just don't get out and about, I guess. So, let's see. Oh, my friend Lauren is here. Lauren is one of those people that if I had to talk to somebody, she would drop everything and talk to me. So thank you, Lauren. Preach it. Crisis will show your true colors. Sadly, in this time of craziness, we do find out who our real friends are, don't we? Tara is another one of those people that I've reached out to, who we will be talking soon, Tara. We create our own reality based on our judgments and the story we tell ourselves. Compassion, empathy, gratitude, and forgiveness are the only ways that I've found to dissolve untruth and to see things for how they really are. And if you look right now, they're really, really beautiful. Chances are your present moment is absolutely perfect. So much love. Tara, you guys don't know about Tara. Tara has been through some rough stuff in her life. Broken relationships, disease, her home burned down. And if anybody has perspective on tough times in life, it's Tara. So Tara, thank you for sharing from your wisdom of your life, because I agree with you. I think what you've done in your life and the perspective you've gotten out of those traumatic experiences has made you into a very beautiful person. So thank you for sharing. Chris says, I prefer the term physical distancing, not social distancing. Yeah, I know people don't like that. I'm just using the vernacular of what people are saying. But you're right. We're physically distancing ourselves from each other. Socially distancing does have a connotation of you're just cutting off all socialization, which is the exact wrong thing. So you're preaching to the choir, brother. I know. I promise you I know. People are losing it. It's sad. I'm okay, says Ingrid. Well, at this time, we do have a lot of people who aren't doing well in their head. And so we need to be mindful of that. And it could be you, but just know it's a lot of other people just like you. And so if you're having a tough time right now, hopefully some of the tips we shared here today on Jimmy Rants gives you things to think about, gives you things to work on, maybe gives you strategies that you hadn't thought about before. So if for no other reason today, you watching this today, whether you're watching on Instagram or Facebook, at jimmyrants.com, on YouTube, wherever you're watching this today, Hopefully you now know how to better handle some of these mental health effects that are happening from being socially distanced and not being able to be with people. Because quite frankly, I miss people. I really miss being around people. Yeah, I'm a hugger. People have said, well, what are you going to do as soon as this is all over and we're able to get out? I'm like, I'm going to go on like a Jimmy Moore hug tour. Like, if you're somebody meaningful in my life, maybe I go to you and we just hug. Like, I already love to hug. Like, I could imagine like hugging people for 5-10 minutes at a time just because I miss all that right now. And it's a release too. You don't think about like all the things that you get from those interpersonal relationships with people. All right, guys, that's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, go follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, you can engage live in the content. We do go live at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. Also, on the weekends, we do 2 p.m. Eastern Time. During the week, I also do a 5 p.m. I'm really heavily considering doing a 5 p.m. one because I've got a lot of topics in store in my head right now that I want to talk about. So I probably will be back in a few hours at 5 p.m. Eastern Time today. If you missed any of the lives, you can go back and watch the replay of all the past episodes over at JimmyRants.com. And of course, it's all on YouTube as well. Thank you again to my YouTubers who watch this faithfully. Go to YouTube, type in a keyword Jimmy Rants. It's also youtube.com/Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. All right, guys, that's it for now. We'll see you again real soon. Bye.